Hello and welcome to today's episode of Two Pigs in a Pod, a podcast for the people of Glazing by the people of Glazing. I'm your host, George, and I'm delighted to welcome onto the show today Kevin Richards. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Thanks, George, and pleasure. Yeah, pleasure to be here.
No, it's a pleasure. Pleasure's all mine. So, as we always do, if our first question is for our guests to introduce themselves and what they do within our wonderful industry.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Kevin. I work for I run Lumin Consultancy after recently starting them up. Just looking to help companies in the fenestration industry and solve as many frustrations as I can, really.
Nice. And this isn't your first rodeo in our set, so you've been in it quite a while. So, let's take you back to the beginning and how did you get into it in the first place?
So I left school when I was 16, passed my GCSEs, and then it was come down to a decision whether I went into work or went to college. Family circumstances kind of dictated that I found myself some work. So the second job that I applied for and was successful with was with a local UPVC fabricator.
Nice. And what was your first impressions of it? What was it that you said that was your first job, but what initially drew you into potentially thinking about a job in this sector?
If I'm being completely honest, it was just a case of they offered me a job. I took it. It was local to me as well, so it was down the road. I'd known of the company beforehand, so it was kind of is one of those things, and it's just it was an opportunity to learn a craft, which is kind of what I was looking to do at the time, and it's where things have developed since with obviously with the career I've taken up.
Yeah. Did you when did you start seeing it as a sort of a long term career in our industry? What was this thing that's think actually I can see myself being here for a long period of time?
I think it was just the fact that I enjoyed what I was doing. I mean, when I first started out, I was manufacturing double glaze units, so they had their own small unit line. So I literally started cutting glass, making the bars, making the double glaze units myself. And then as time moved on, I was working with somebody else. They then moved on, so it was left to me to run the workshop. So I think I was like 18 years old. I was running my own, running the workshop basically by myself, doing a little bit hands on with fabricating frames and going out and doing a little bit of fitting as well. Um, and yeah, obviously to have that kind of responsibility at the age of 18 was, I quite enjoyed that. And then obviously then I brought somebody in to kind of be, kind of an apprentice for myself. So yeah, that kind of got the passion going, and it's kind of gone from there. It's just a case of just going, elevating, and going, taking the step on each rung of the ladder, basically.
Yeah, nice. And you've obviously seen a lot of changes throughout our industry, as we all have. But what have sort of been the main things that you've seen change over from when you started in that job to where you are now?
I'd say it's probably the technology.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's the same with with everything with mobile phones and
of course.
internet
Yeah,
and so on. But it's the technology within the industry as well. I mean, when we were first making double glazed units, it was float, or it was float and Pilks K. Whereas now you've obviously got the soft coats, you've got all the solar controls, you've got warm edge spacer, argon, krypton, triple glazed,
yeah,
and so on. And then obviously the tooling, the machinery, the evolution of aluminium. Obviously when I was, back in the day, aluminium was what you made caravan windows out of, and everybody was
yeah,
trying to get rid of aluminium and steel from their houses. And now it's gone full circle, and we're back
yeah.
to everybody wants aluminium and steel, and it's a far better product now than what it was back then. And obviously the same with UPVC. Obviously the advancements of UPVC over the years, it's been very impressive.
Yeah, and do you feel it's been exciting to be on that journey through our industry as it sort of evolves? Like you said, it's been quite a enjoyable journey to learn new things all the time, learn new technology, and as you've gone along.
Yeah, it certainly has. Like I say, obviously, I've kind of because I've kept making a step each time and learning new things. I think because you're in it, you probably kind of take things maybe a little bit for granted of how things are progressing. I suppose if you'd saw the industry as it was 30 years ago to now where it is, you think, wow, that is quite a change. But because you've been in it, it's maybe diluted a little bit. But that's not to say it's not to say that it hasn't been incredible. Kind of what has happened and the stuff that I've been able to do as well. I mean, it's been enjoyable, and obviously it's what's kept me going and sucked into the industry all this time.
Yeah, nice. And looking back over those years, what roles or companies that have stood out in those steps that you've been taking? What roles or companies have stood out over that time?
Um, I suppose realistically, it's obviously started out the company I started out with called Homebush Windows. They were just down the road from me. They still operate today. Obviously, slightly different business model, but from back then. But they're still operating. So obviously, without them, obviously I wouldn't be in this trade. And then after that, obviously, my last kind of proper employer before now was Coastal. Obviously things didn't end as I'd hoped, but they gave me the first opportunity to get into sales. And that's kind of where I've kind of where things have kind of developed for myself since then. So obviously that account management and business development skills that I've developed. If I hadn't been there, I'm presented with that opportunity, then I wouldn't have kind of moved on to what I'm doing today. So those are kind of the main two, really.
Nice. And like you said, you've now gone off on your own and started your own consultancy business. What inspired you to do that? Was there sort of any reasons that you thought I can do this? Is there a spot in the industry for what Lumin Consultancy does?
It's probably quite a number of reasons. I mean, I was at work for a long time. The,
Yeah.
the right opportunity just didn't really come along. There were jobs I applied for that I
Yeah,
thought I
yeah.
could have really made a good fist of, but they just for whatever reason they didn't work out. And then looking at what I wanted a bit more flexibility. Obviously, we have things going on in the
Of
house.
course. Yeah.
From a medical point of view, I like that flexibility where I know if I need to, I can just run off and do something.
Yeah.
But also the flexibility to work with different people as well, not be tied down to one employer
Yeah.
or one brand or one product. So that's kind of where I was looking at. And then with the consultancy side, because I've been in, like I say, because I've been in the industry so long, I've met so many people, I've learned so many things, I've worked with so many different companies as well, and the companies that you see that are doing well, they generally, the managers, the owners, they generally enjoy what they do. It's almost like it's not a chore for them. They wake up in the morning and they enjoy going to work.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of companies out there that don't have that, or they used to have it. Maybe for one reason or another, the enjoyment might have gone out of their working day. The challenges that everybody are facing at the moment. So yeah, I thought it might be an opportunity for me to help companies out like that that might have frustrations, that might be looking at their team and thinking, might need a little bit of a boost here.
Mm.
Morale might have dropped for one reason or another, or they might be, looking at their processes and thinking we might be able to tweak things here. Maybe the sales team need a little bit of a boost, or operations, we maybe need to look at doing things a little bit differently. Just having another set of eyes from the outside to look at things, might be a benefit. So that's why I've kind of started off with as I have with Lumin, and see what I can do to help.
Nice. And you said about obviously between the roles of finishing up with your last job and starting up Lumin Consultancy. For people that follow you on social media, you were quite open about that sort of that journey of finding the right role. And did you feel like that was important to put it out there on social media to say this is what happens, and see where you're going on that journey, and obviously ending up starting up your own consultancy? It was quite sort of nice for you and for other people that potentially in that looking for a role, or looking for a role in our sector, to be quite open about it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I've I've always been fairly genuinely honest with what I do. I share my good days as well as I share my bad days. So I'm quite honest about things like that, and I think I've been. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there who are in the same boat. They've been out of work for a long time. There's people out there who've been out of work for a lot longer than I have. I had people messaging me saying they've been out of work for 12 months. Still waiting for the right opportunity to come along. And it's like hats off to you, because I don't think I could have gone that long. But yeah, I think I've just wanted to. Yeah, I think just highlight the whole thing. Really, I mean, I had so many bad experiences with recruiters and different firms and so on. And I just wanted to kind of highlight what was going on for other people, that maybe if they were pinning all their hopes on something happening in a certain way for them, just to maybe think it may not pan out that way. You need to be mindful of that. So yeah, I think I just wanted to kind of just bring people along on the journey. People can just take me as I am. I kind of I am as I am, really. So you just take me as I am, and if you want to follow the journey and see how it goes, then so be it.
Yeah, and do you think that sort of that idea of being quite open and honest has sort of helped you come along to start up your own consultancy, where you can be open and honest with people, and like you said, you can come into teams that might need a boost and say, this is what we need to do. There's no sort of different ways around it. This is what I can provide.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, it's always the way I've built relationships with customers over the years, is being honest and just being myself. If I don't have the right product, I'll tell you,
Yeah,
and I'll even tell I might even tell you who to go to find that right product or service. That's basically how I am. If I turn up and work with a company and I just think, no, end of the day, I don't think I can help
yeah,
you. I'll be quite honest and say, look, I think you'd be better off with somebody else, or even possibly recommend somebody for them to try. I'm always, maybe sometimes that goes against you if you maybe too honest and too genuine. Maybe people will kind of maybe take advantage of that. But it's the way I've always been. I'll kind of I won't be I'm not like abrupt or anything like that. I'll just be
yeah,
quite blunt and honest and just say, look, I can't help you, or I can help you. This is what you need to be doing. But again, in a way that the company buys into. You can't just go in there and say, well, this is wrong and that's wrong, and you need to be doing this and
yeah,
yada yada yada. You need to be able to back that up with a valid reason, or reasoning for why that's maybe not working and why they need to evaluate it. And if you go in there with the attitude of I'm better than everybody else, and you need to bow down to me and listen to what I'm talking about, they're just not going to buy into it.
yeah.
So you've got to come across as genuine and having their best interests at heart, or they just won't buy into it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's only been a few months since you started the consultancy business, but how's it been working for yourself and sort of a different sort of part of the industry? How's it been?
It's been a challenge. I'm not going to lie. Working kind of remotely at home, it's challenging trying to get yourself motivated, and obviously being out of work for as long as I have been, trying to get back into a routine again and getting that patter, speaking, phoning customers and getting the rhythm of going again. It takes a little bit of time to get me warmed up, so to speak, but it's going there, and it's just a case of pushing myself each day, reaching out to people, trying to see what opportunities there were about. People are always posting on LinkedIn. They might need a bit of advice, bit of guidance or so on. Or they're potentially looking for a new supplier for something. So it's a case of just jumping on opportunities like that, but still trying to get my message out on a regular basis with LinkedIn, and trying to do a bit more with Facebook as well. But that's it's a little bit different. But yes, it's been good.
Nice. And what excites you most about the for the rest of the year, or going into next year? What excites you most about being out on your own and having your own consultancy business? What's exciting?
I think it's just the excitement of knowing what's potentially around the corner. But those first start getting those first inquiries through, and start getting out more frequently on the road, seeing customers, seeing clients, catching up with old faces. And then seeing what companies that are out there that are prepared, that are keen to work with me, and see what difference I can make, and start building in some new relationships. That's kind of what I'm really looking forward to.
Nice. And what advice would you give someone that potentially is starting out where you were 30 years ago and starting out in the glazing sector? What advice would you potentially give them?
I would say embrace it, enjoy it. There's from what you read between the lines, and then what you see when you're out speaking with companies and so on, there's a definite skills shortage out there. or skilled labour shortage. So there's not as many people coming into the trades as school leavers. So I think you need to look at it as if if you're quite hands on and you're looking for that kind of role, getting into the glazing industry is going to kind of set you. It can set you for life if you're willing to invest the time and learn, and be resilient to the changes. Then you've definitely got a good career ahead of you. And the sky's your limit, really.
Yeah, nice. And speaking of those people starting out in their career, what if you was to be able to go back to your younger self starting out in your first job? What advice would you give to yourself? That knowing what you've got now, 30 years later.
Uh, I don't think there's much of advice I'd give myself. I would probably still, I've probably still gone down the same path that I
Yeah,
have. If anything, I would probably say be a little bit more confident in yourself. Maybe try not to people please as much as you have done before, because it doesn't do you any favors.
yeah,
I've learned that the hard way, and I think also being open to asking for help, more so from a kind of a mental health point of view.
nice.
If you're struggling, then ask for help or make people aware of what's going on. They don't need to know the full ins and outs, but
Yeah,
I think you need to be open and just say, look, something's going on. It needs to be kind of taken into account. This is maybe affecting my performance a little bit, and yeah, just be open and honest about it, really.
nice. And what skills or qualities do you think someone entering the sector now, like you said, would need, that the industry's changed from when you started out in the career, but what skills have you seen now that you think would be perfect to start out in our sector?
I think just the willingness to learn and
Yeah,
embrace new ways of doing things and technologies. Like I say, if you were to start out now, and then get into whether it's aluminium manufacture or UPVC or whatever, it's everything. If you're working for a larger company, obviously more things are kind of automated. But there's if you were then to learn how to do it more hands on and more of a manual approach,
yeah,
the skills you'll pick up. And then obviously you get an appreciation for the product, and then you can look at other avenues, whether that's in customer service or operations or sales, or even running your own company. You just need to go through picking up those skills, being a sponge, picking up everything. And then if you're happy in front of the camera and quite happy doing marketing, or use social media marketing as well, then so be it. That's kind of the way the world is going.
yeah. There's a role for everyone, isn't there? That's the good thing about our industry, is that
Yeah.
people from the outside might not know, like you said, how many roles are actually within our industry. You can probably find something for everyone really in our industry.
Yeah. It's surprising. I was going to say I've kind of filled the majority of those, but there's probably still some that have eluded me. Which, well, to be fair, they're probably ones I would avoid anyway. So
Yeah, yeah. Nice. And lastly, like you say, you've been in the industry 30 years now. What keeps you so passionate about this industry? Like you said, you was between roles, so potentially could have gone to another sector, but decided to set up Lumin Consultancy. What keeps you so passionate about being in our industry?
uh, I guess I almost feel like it would be a waste if I'm, like I say, with 30
Yeah,
years experience, if I was to move on to a different industry. I just feel like it would be a waste. I know they say you can transfer your skills, and
yeah,
you can if you were to move into a different sector, then you could still utilize those skills, which you can to a degree. But
yeah,
I just think with the knowledge you have there about the different, products, whether it's glass, whether it's aluminium, whether it's UPVC, whether it's ironmongery, hardware, it would just almost be a waste to lose all that. And I still think there's more that I can pass on to people, and there's still more I can learn myself. I do have quite a technical mind. I've done a lot before with glass specification and fire rating and stuff like that. But there's still a lot I don't know as well. When I'm
yeah.
always keen to learn and develop new skills. So I still think there's more to come, really.
Nice, perfect. Well, Thanks very much for the main part of the podcast. We're going to move on to our quick fire question round now, which you might have seen in previous episode where, yeah,
Yeah,
just
man.
easy questions, one word, one sentence answer, first thing that comes to your head. So as we always do
Okay.
you prefer talking over email or by phone?
Bit of both.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to go. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
um, Night owl.
Nice. What's your go-to comfort food?
I've got so many kebabs.
Nice. What's your favorite thing to do outside of work?
Spending time with family and friends.
Nice. What's one thing you can't live without?
Beer.
Nice. What's one word to describe your work style?
Ooh, I'd like to say organised, but organised chaos.
I like it. I like it. And lastly, speaking of work, obviously now you work remotely, but if you in an ideal situation, what's your preferred work environment? Do you prefer a quiet office, where you can get on with stuff, or buzzing, maybe family wise, or back when you're working in the office?
Oh, I'm a bit of a chameleon, to be fair, so I can adapt to anything. So I like being on my own. I like working in an office and having a banter with people, and I also like working in the factory and all the banter that goes on out there as well. So yeah, a bit of a mix.
Nice. Well, yeah, thanks very much for that bit. So for our final bit of the podcast, we like to get our guests to give a shout out. It can be people in the industry, out the industry, friends, family, whoever it may be. So yeah, who do you want to shout out?
I'll keep it nice and sweet. Obviously, the wife and the kids, they're the
Nice.
first ones. And then obviously to yourselves, thank you for the opportunities for obviously the newsletter and for the podcast today. After that, I honestly, there's so many people that have kind of been supportive, have messaged me, reached out over the last 6 months. So I can't narrow it down to one or two. It would do other people a disservice. So literally, just anybody who's supported me in the past and anybody who's prepared to support me in the future, then shout out to them.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much, Kevin, for joining us on Two Pigs in the Pod today. It's great to hear about your 30-year career in the industry and, what's to come with Lumin Consultancy.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, and yeah, I look forward to seeing this when it's all wrapped up. And yeah, I'll keep an eye on fellow other podcasts in the future.
Perfect. Well, that's it for today. So I hope you can join us for another episode soon. You can find Kevin's episode and all others on our YouTube channel at People in Glazing Society, available on our website, www.peopleinglazing.co.uk, and also available to download on Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And please don't forget to like and subscribe so you keep up to date with all the latest videos. So once again, thanks to Kevin for joining us and see you again soon.